Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to do a deep dive into the origins of Chinese agriculture.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's super fascinating. We're going to specifically be looking at this myth about Shennong. Have you ever heard of him?
I have, yeah. Isn't he considered like the father of Chinese agriculture?
He is. Yeah, he's a legendary figure. And the source that we are going to be looking at today is an excerpt from pasted text.
Okay.
And yeah, obviously it's a myth, but it gives us some really cool insight into how the ancient Chinese people viewed their civilization, how it began.
Right. Especially the role of agriculture. I mean, it must have been so central to their lives.
Absolutely. So the story starts by setting the scene before agriculture, and it wasn't pretty.
Oh, I bet. I
Yeah.
mean, I can imagine. It's like people were constantly hungry,
Yeah.
no reliable food source.
They lacked proper clothing. They were constantly on the move, just trying to find their next meal.
Yeah. Always searching.
It really paints a picture of just how difficult life was.
And probably dangerous too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Wild animals,
Yeah.
the elements.
Disease.
Totally. So it's in this context of real suffering that this story introduces the Emperor of Heaven.
Okay.
And he sees the people struggling. And he basically takes pity on them. It's like divine intervention.
Wow. So he's like, I'm going to send them a savior. I'm going to send them someone to help.
Exactly. And that's where Shennong comes in. And he's described in this really visually engaging way. He's got bullhorns.
Bullhorns. That's interesting.
Yeah. Symbolizing strength.
Yeah.
And he's always dressed in green.
Representing nature.
Mm.
The harvest.
Exactly. What do you think those symbols tell us about how he was perceived?
Well, I think it's clear he wasn't just seen as a regular human.
Right.
He's like this larger-than-life figure,
Yeah.
someone who embodies both the power of nature and the power to help people.
It's almost like a godlike status.
Yeah. A demigod, maybe?
And his mission is to teach people about agriculture. But it's not like he just arrives and says, here, plant these seeds.
Right.
He actually observes nature.
He does.
Yeah. He watches birds scattering seeds, and he has this realization. He's like, wait a minute. This is how plants grow. This is how we can cultivate food.
It's like the original, life hack.
Totally. But it also shows how important observation and learning from the natural world was.
Yeah, and still is today. I mean, think about all the ways we study nature.
Right. Like biomimicry.
Exactly.
We're constantly looking to nature for solutions to our problems.
It's amazing how relevant that ancient wisdom still is.
Absolutely. And Shennong wasn't just observing. He was also innovating.
Okay.
The story describes him creating these early tools, like sticks for tilling,
Makes sense.
and even a precursor to the plow, the lizi.
The Leasy, I've never heard of that. What was it like?
Well, it was a pretty basic tool, probably made of wood,
Mm.
and it had this pointed end for breaking the soil and then a footrest so that the farmer could apply more pressure.
Okay, so it's like a more efficient way of tilling than just using a stick.
Exactly. It might seem simple to us now, but back then it was revolutionary.
Oh, for sure. It must have made a huge difference.
And then, of course, there's the discovery of the 5 grains.
The 5 grains. Let's see if I can remember them all.
Okay, go for it.
Rice, millet,
Yeah?
wheat.
You got it.
Oh, man, 2 more. What were the others?
Broomcorn, millet, and beans.
Broom, corn, millet, right. And beans, of course.
And these became staples of the Chinese diet. They're still foundational today.
It makes you wonder about the foundational crops in other ancient civilizations,
Yeah. Like wheat in Mesopotamia.
or maize in Mesoamerica. It's fascinating how different parts of the world developed agriculture independently.
And yet, there are these common threads.
Mm-hmm.
The need for food, the observation of nature.
The drive to innovate.
Exactly. But the story doesn't shy away from the challenges either.
What do you mean?
Well, it talks about the things that early farmers struggled with, like droughts, pests.
Oh, yeah, those are always a problem.
And Shennong doesn't just abandon them. He teaches them how to deal with these problems.
Like what kind of...
Well, he teaches them to observe weather patterns, to predict droughts,
Okay.
and even to use natural solutions like plant ash to deter pests.
Interesting. So he's teaching them about the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. He's giving them the knowledge to survive and thrive.
No wonder he's so revered.
Yeah. And that's reflected in the name that they gave him, Yandi, which means the Flame Emperor.
The Flame Emperor, that's pretty epic.
It is, and it recognizes his role in bringing warmth and sustenance to humanity.
I mean, fire is so essential, right? For
I-
cooking, for warmth.
Absolutely. And some scholars believe that the myth also credits Shennong with discovering fire.
Oh, wow. So he's not just about farming, he's about all the elements that make civilization possible.
Exactly. And even today, thousands of years later, his legacy lives on.
Really?
Yeah. There are festivals held on his birthday to celebrate his contributions.
It's amazing how these ancient myths still resonate with people.
They speak to something deep in the human experience. Our connection to the earth, our need to understand where we come from.
And the importance of agriculture in shaping our civilizations.
Absolutely. So I guess as we wrap up this deep dive, the thing that really stands out to me is how this myth reveals the ancient Chinese people's deep respect for agriculture.
And how it's not just about planting seeds.
Right. It's about knowledge.
Innovation.
And a deep connection to the natural world.
It makes you wonder how these myths, passed down through generations, continue to shape our values today.
It does. And it makes me wonder how the myths and stories of our own time might inspire future generations.
That's a great question to ponder. Thanks for this deep dive. It was really fascinating.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Yeah.